Hey guys, Kristyglass here. I wanted to talk to you about a recent finished object. I'm wearing it. And I haven't blocked it yet, but I'm gonna take some video of me wearing it all blocked and looking cute. But I just had to talk about it right now so I don't forget what I wanna tell you. Because the whole point of me making finished object videos is to help the next person who's going to make the project. So first of all, let's talk about the yarn. I got this Knit Picks Tough Puff in Pucker. I got 10 skeins, which is 440 yards. It was on sale for less than $3 a skein, so I spent about $27 on 440 yards of this Tough Puff chunky wool. I had used it for my Nicki Minaj stocking just as a prototype, and I ended up ripping it all out because I really did want to make a sweater out of the wool. When I first got it, I thought it was scratchy compared to the We Are Knitters or the Wool and the Gang yarn of the same weight, and you know, it's both 100% wool. But then when I started working with it, I really felt no difference, and I actually ended up liking it. So I had some extra. This is probably maybe 2 skeins worth. So I did only use about 8 skeins for this project. Now let's talk about the pattern. What I love about Ravelry is you can look up a pattern and you can see other people's projects, and project after project after project told me there were many mistakes in this pattern, and that was absolutely true. It came from the Twinkle's Big City Knits book, 31 Chunky Chic Designs, and it's this sweater on the cover, and there are 2 different versions. No, they're the same, they're technically the same pattern, but I could tell maybe 2 different people knit it, or maybe one was a sample, because the one on the cover is the one I was basing my sweater off of, whereas the one in the middle inside, it looks different. So you can see this sort of tree is coming up out of the center here, has like a nice stalk in the center, and then the picture inside, it's coming out of, instead of coming out of the knits, it's coming out of the pearls. Maybe you can tell right there. So that is a subtle difference, but it was something that I picked up on just from reading the pattern and looking at the pictures. Now the other thing is that the knitted measurements for the sizing are totally off. So the small, I usually knit myself a small when I'm doing patterns. It just happens to be my size. And with this one, the choices were small was 30-inch bust, medium was 32.5-inch bust, and large was 35-inch bust. So my bust is about 34 to 34.5. So of course I went for the 35-inch once I met gauge. Now my gauge was a little bit off. I needed to knit a little looser. I didn't want to go up a needle size because I was already on the 19s. So I just decided to knit a little looser. And I was glad anyway, because I'm like, you know, if I'm doing 35-inch bust, the chances are that the butt part is not going to be big enough for me, because I'm like usually a small on top, medium on bottom. I mean, I can do some smalls, but like when I'm buying 2-piece bathing suits, for example, I get a small on top and a medium on the bottom, or a large sometimes. So I was like, you know, this will be fine and we'll figure it out. I started the project, and by row 7 or 8 I had messed up the cabling. And here's the thing, with the large size, the cables don't match up on the side. So you have this nice cable, but the sides are just straight. And I was like, you know, a better knitter cabler could probably figure this out. And I was a little ticked off actually that the pattern didn't figure it out for me. So I was kind of bugged by that, and then I messed something up, so I was just like, I'm just gonna start again because it's chunky, it's fast. But before I ripped it all out, I tried it on, and I had plenty of room. I mean, this would have been like just like an A-line crazy weird look. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have plenty of room. I'm just going for the small size. And when I went back and read some more Ravelry notes, it said that yes, the gauge was off. So this is the Groovy sweater parentheses dress. They call it the Groovy sweater parentheses dress. And so first of all, you need to know it's totally off. So my measurements are like 34 on top, maybe 27 waist, and then like 37, 38 hip. So those are my measurements. So just so you know, if you decide to make it and you have measurements similar to mine, I would go with the one that says bust 30-inch. I mean, I even have room, so I don't understand. Okay, so now the next thing to understand is, I mean, there are several mistakes in the pattern. As you can see, I had to mark up my pattern quite a bit with all kinds of notes and things to keep me on track. But I would just say, reference the picture. Now, after you've done, most of the skirt is fine, status quo. Once you get to the waistband, I would say, I personally, now, this is not blocked yet, so when you see the pictures you can decide if I still think this. But I wish I had done, instead of 10 rows of ribbing in the waist, I wish I had done maybe 12 or 13 because I am a little bit longer torso, because the sweater pre-blocked just barely like hits like the bottom of my bum, and I'd like it to cover my whole bum. So I wish I had done that. The formula they give for the decreases doesn't really work. Like, it says to decrease while you're creating this rib, and it says on this, between the center, it says work decreases and establish pattern as follows: mark cables at either side of center front. So you mark the cables at either side of center front, and then you're supposed to have in between those two marks purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, which works, but it doesn't work if you only it says begin the knit 2, purl 2 rib, purling 2 stitches together 28 times, evenly spaced. But that doesn't work. You're going to have to do some knits together as well, especially on that one center cable. If you want that tree to have that post in the middle of your ribbing, then it has to be that you take your 4 knits on either side of the cable and make them into 2 knits, and then the middle is purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, so that those 2 knits are the base of your tree. So you're not going to understand that unless you have the pattern in front of you and you're working on this, but hopefully you are working on it and you know what I'm talking about. Also, for the small, it said to decrease down to 44 stitches. I could only get it down to 48 to make sense. So my first row was 48, and then the next row I made in 4 different places, and instead of it being now knit 2, purl 2, it's knit 2, purl 1, knit 2. So that right under my arms, I made them some purl 1s, which you won't notice as much because it's under your arms. But I had to do that in order to get it down to 44. That's the only way I could figure it out. Maybe you could figure it out differently, but that's the only way I could do it. So then I was at 44. And then the sleeves, I wasn't sure, honestly, if I would have enough for the long sleeves. Also, I made this in one day, and I needed it in time for an interview the next day. So I just made a short sleeve, and I followed the decrease up to the 7, and then I ended. So that's why I have short sleeves, and I actually like it. I've been wearing it all day, and I really like that it's short sleeves. I'm plenty warm in it. And so once I got to the joined sleeves part, that was pretty straightforward, except there's this one section that says working reverse stockinette stitch in the round, which is purl all rounds, work even 3 rounds, next round do a decrease round, and the decrease round is purl 1, purl 2 together, purl to 3 stitches before the marker, purl 2 together, purl 1, and then repeat. And it says repeat the decrease round every 3rd round 4 more times for a total of 32 stitches. So I wasn't 100% sure where this was supposed to go, but I decided it was supposed to go in between all my markers. So I did it on the sleeves, which made sense because I think that's called raglan when you like decrease steadily. So I did it on the sleeves and I did it on the back because those are the 2 parts that had markers. That didn't apply to the front because the front has its own motif with these bobbles and things. So I just did it, and I did it every 3rd round 5 more times. I charted it out so that by the time I was to the 28th round, I had done it that many times. But I had 44 stitches instead of 32. So by the time I got up to here, I mean, this is basically done. I can't really go anymore. I mean, look, the shoulders and the armpits, everything fits nicely. So I was at 44 stitches. So I was like, what do I do next? Now, they had this whole front neck shaping section, which seemed like a lot more knitting to do, and yet I'm already here. So you can see it's kind of like it's kind of like a little turtleneck situation, kind of like a mock turtleneck at the top. But I was running out of time, and I was like, I don't want that. So with 44 stitches, I was thinking, and then finally I just decided to do one more round. And I did a bind off and knit 2 together decrease at the same time. So I knit 2 together. Instead of knitting 1 bind off, I knit 2 together and bound off the whole thing, so I ended up with 22 stitches. And it fits over my head perfectly, and it's perfect. It's perfect. So despite all of those challenges, I knitted up, and I knitted up quickly. I didn't have to frog back except for my initial start, and I was so glad I did that, so I got the right size. It's fun, it's lofty, it's squishy. I love this Tough Puff, and I'm so excited that this cost me $27, 100% wool, $27 sweater. I normally like a project that takes a long time, but I didn't care that it was so fast. I mean, I was so glad it was fast because I wanted it done by the next day. And I would love to recommend this pattern. I don't know if I can. I think I can only recommend it to you if you know knitting and if you know how to make a garment, because you're gonna have to just wing it during parts of this pattern, and that's what everybody says on the Ravelry. So I've given you as many details as I can. There's other cute stuff in here, guys, but I'm not sure if I want to tackle it because these patterns are just not written that well. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be rude, but they're just not written that well. I think they just didn't have a good edit. But like I would really love to make this one. I could probably figure that one out too, because I have some extra leftover like chunky yarn from my Penguano. So it'd be fun to make a little companion piece. Like it's a collection, you know, like I'm a designer on a runway and we have these companion pieces. So that's my review of the Twinkles Big City Knits by Wenlin Chia, the Groovy Sweater Dress Finished Object. And I'm gonna insert a little footage of me wearing it here. It's cute, right? It's fun, and I like styling it with the leggings and the tall boots. It was good. I think it's gonna be a really fun piece to wear out and about in the knitting world, and hopefully you'll like wearing it too. Hey, thanks for checking in. Kristyglass signing off.